What's up, y'all? It's JC. If you're new, welcome to the channel. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. And please hit that like button if you want to see the channel grow. Get me on the algorithm, get these views up. Man, we may see some sponsors, man. You never know. All right, but let's talk about the topic at hand, man. The NBA free agency, NBA off season. Of course, it got kicked off yesterday, but today we have some big news. So the Milwaukee Bucks, okay? They go out. Their big splash move was that they went out today. They got Myles Turner. They reached an agreement, a 4-year deal, $107 million deal with Myles Turner. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. They need another big to play aside Giannis. Brook Lopez, he just signed with the Clippers, if I'm not mistaken. So they go out and get Myles Turner, a guy who he doesn't need to be in the paint. You know, he's stretch five, rim protector. Makes sense. Okay. Same kind of player as Brook Lopez, a little bit more mobile, younger as well. So you like that move. And then that wasn't it. That was not it. It was announced that the Bucks have waived Damian Lillard. Okay. Of course, we know he is dealing with the he ruptured his Achilles, tore his Achilles in the playoffs, and he's going to be rehabbing for the next year or so. And the part of the deal, the Myles Turner deal, was not the deal, but to make space for Myles Turner, if I was reading it correctly, they waived Dame. Now, this is a shocker. This is a shocker. Initially, 2 years ago, or he played in Bucks. He played with the Bucks for 2 years. I thought that the duo would work. I thought Dame and Giannis will work, but it seems like whenever the playoffs will come around, somebody will get hurt. I think in year one, Giannis got hurt, and then of course this year Dame gets hurt. They never really meshed. They never really meshed. Now, it was a lot of question marks for the Bucks. Like, would this be a down season for the team? Of course, with the Dame injury, the future just didn't look, this upcoming season, like what are they going to do? They don't really have assets, but they're making a move. They re-signed Bobby Portis. They re-signed Kevin Porter Jr. They go out, they signed Torian Prince, Gary Trent Jr., and then Myles Turner. So it looks like they're the team is positioning. Jesus, I can't get that word out. Positioning themselves to compete in the East. And of course, when you have Giannis, an MVP guy who top 3 player in the league, top 5 player, wherever you rank him, one of the best in the league, you're always going to have a chance, right? He just needs those players around him to complement his game, and go out there, so they can, not. I don't think anyone is expecting the Bucks to compete for a championship, but just compete in general. Because, like I said, after that playoff run, it wasn't looking pretty. So I'm assuming that the Bucks aren't done. I think they go out and get another guard. I think they get another guard, a veteran guard. It's a couple out there free agency. I don't know their cap, how the cap situation is, but I know it's some vets out there, or some guys they can trade for, to kind of bolster that their guard situation. So that's that for the Bucks. Now for Dame, we got to talk about Dame. What's next for Dame? Of course, he's rehabbing. Currently, he's getting healthy, get that Achilles right. He's on the tail end of his career. Not like he's going to retire tomorrow or anything, or next year or anything, but he's closer to the end than he is at the beginning. And coming off an Achilles, that's no easy injury just to bounce back from. I know we've seen, KD, he's come back from it. KD, KD's still, one of the best scorers in the game. But he may be an anomaly. But I know with the advancement of medicine and things of that nature, guys can bounce back, but age is still a factor, of course. And a guy like Damian Lillard, who isn't a big. He has to, rely on, he has to move around, right? So it'll be, hopefully he has a complete recovery. It doesn't hamper him too much in terms of his game. We know he's a prolific 3-point shooter. He put the ball in the basket. One of the best, scorers from that guard position we've seen in the past, 2 decades or so. So that's that. But in terms of destinations, I'm thinking, if we're looking at it, because things could change. I don't know how quickly the process is in terms of clearing waivers and people, bidding for him. I don't know. I got to look into that. But if we're looking at destinations, um, like, will he sign this year, or will he, wait, just hold out and wait till he's healthy? Like, I'm looking at the T Wolves, maybe. Um, I threw out maybe Boston. I know they just got Anthony Simons, but maybe Boston. The Heat, Miami Heat. Okay, or where he, I know he's from. I believe he's from Oakland, or where he end up in a team in California, to end out his career. So that's something to think about as well, man. But wow, the Milwaukee Bucks wave Dame, it just didn't mesh with him and Giannis. So that's something to look out for, man. Like I said, I don't think the Bucks are done. I think they go out and get a guard now that Dame is not with the team anymore. They go out and get a guard, and try to compete in the East. Those are my thoughts in the comments. Let me know yours.